Welcome back to another episode of the Next Level Minds podcast. My name is Chris Chapman, and I am your host. If this is your first time tuning in, and this is a podcast really dedicated to those who want to reach a next level in their faith, family, fitness, finances, and embrace the American freedoms that we have in this great country. And we have a big mission here, and it's really to impact over 1 million people by helping them reach a next level. So if you have not done this already, please take the time to subscribe to Next Level Minds podcast. Share this episode with a family member, friend, or colleague. And then I'd also love if you could message me on Instagram at Chris Chap, just to let me know what you think of the recent podcast episodes. I'm always trying to improve. I'm always trying to get better. Let me know if you want to hear a particular topic, a particular guest, or just let me know areas that I can improve. Like I said, I'm always looking to improve different presentation and topic areas that I run on this podcast. So on to today's episode. As you all saw in the title here, how to do the work when you don't feel like doing it. And the reason why I wanted to do this podcast is it did kind of come to me on a whim, actually right now when I'm recording, because I had a really long day at work. It's been a really long couple months, been very, very, very busy. Good busy though, because I know this busyness is going to yield some very positive financial returns down the road, as in hopefully, fingers crossed, later this year. But it's been very busy, and I, today especially, did not feel like working out after work. I ended up playing some golf in the morning at the driving range before work, so I didn't get a lift or run in, and I wouldn't really classify golf as a workout. Well, at least going to the driving range for like an hour, I wouldn't really classify that as a workout. So, you know, for those of you who listen to me and follow me, I don't miss days. So I said, how am I going to get some sort of workout in? Finished work, cooked dinner with my wife, all that stuff. Played with my son, played with Bennett, my dog, and was like, all right, I do not feel like working out. I don't feel like recording a podcast, but I know I need to do both of those things. I need to honor my commitments. And I ended up getting in a 15-minute workout of some pull-ups, push-ups, abs, better than nothing. And now I'm recording this podcast, and it's almost 9 o'clock at night after it's only Wednesday, working an extremely long week so far with a lot more to go. And I'm sitting here recording the podcast when majority of people at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday are probably just sitting on their butt watching Netflix doing nothing. So I want to bring this up because I'm living this right now. And it dawned on me that majority of the time, you're not going to feel like doing the thing that you know you need to be doing. And that made me realize that, hey, these feelings are normal, because if everyone felt like doing the work, everyone would be very successful and wealthy. That's why the 1% is the 1% for a reason, because 99% of the people out there aren't putting in the work like they should be doing. And there's a quote, I believe Gary Vee mentioned this. I believe I read this in college, but it said, if you want to be part of the 1%, you have to work harder than 99% of the world. And I was like, man, that's such a good thought process. And so recognize that these feelings are normal. 2, give yourself some grace, because again, these feelings are normal. So don't beat yourself up. But at the same time, you got to continue putting in the work. And the question is, how can you do that? Well, first off, whenever you don't feel like doing something that you know you should do, I like to attach meaning to my goals. I like to attach a deeper why to my goals that I have in my life. So for example, looking at my goal sheet on the right-hand side of my whiteboard next to my podcast desk here, I have a pretty healthy income goal. And the income goal is essentially getting my personal income to equal my wife and I's combined household income. And the why behind this goal is that I would like to give her the option, if she desires to be a stay-at-home mom, that she can comfortably do that, and we can still hit the same savings and investing goals that we hit on an annual basis with 2 incomes, that we can still hit that with 1 income. So, and why do I want to do that? Well, because I think especially in this day and age with what they're teaching in public schools, and I wouldn't even call it public school, I call it government ran schools. Just all the negative stuff in the world that's happening. I don't want a daycare or a corrupt preschool to be the one raising my child. I want, and my wife and I have talked about this, like, we want to be very involved. I want her to be very involved if she so desires, which she does. Where you're not having to outsource the raising of your child. And so when I'm thinking about, do I really want to send this email or make this phone call or go on my 8th meeting of the day with a prospect or client, and I'm tired, I think about the deeper why of why I want to make this money and the impact that it'll have and the outcome that it'll create. When I'm looking over my faith goal, which is, one of them is to, actually I'll go over both of them, memorize one verse per month and study the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. We did a podcast recently on Matthew, but why do I want to do that? Well, again, Christianity is under attack. The values of faith, the values of, raising your family the right way, the values that Jesus preached, I believe they're under attack very heavily by the world. The Bible says, in this world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I've overcome the world. That's what Jesus said. He also said that people will hate you because of my name's sake. And I believe right now, and this is going to continue to get worse and worse and worse, I believe right now that Christianity is under attack, and I believe it's very important to be well-equipped in Scripture, in Bible, in Jesus' teachings. So that's one of the whys behind that. So think about your own goals in your life that you made this year, your yearly goals, your mid to long-term goals, and then attach a deeper meaning, a deeper why. Second thing is understand that in order to be successful, it's just a common fact that you have to continue to put in the work, even on the days that you don't feel like it. I've interviewed hundreds of successful people. I've listened to probably thousands of podcasts from successful people from all walks of life. And the common trait I see is discipline. It's doing the work on the days they don't feel like it, because it's very easy to put in 100% effort on the days that you're well rested, you're feeling great, you're sharp. But to me, that's not impressive. What's most impressive is hearing somebody or seeing somebody put in the work when they've gotten little sleep, they are beat down, they're broken, they don't feel like doing it, but they're still waking up early and going to the gym. They're still putting in an 8 to 10 hour work day. They're still, grinding after work. Like, they are just putting in the work necessary that it takes to be successful. And so understand factually from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other successful people that discipline is the trait, that the glue that kind of holds the commonality of all of them together. And understand that if you want to be successful, you have to have discipline. You have to do the work when you don't feel like it. So we got attach your goals to a deeper why. We got understanding that it does take discipline. That is a fact. And number 3, I call this a quick pivot. So the second you don't feel like doing what you know you need to do, again, let's say that's going to the gym before work or after work. Gym's just an easy example to use. The second you don't feel like doing it, snap your fingers and say, nope, I'm doing it. Like, you immediately pivot and say, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And I think that's easy because a lot of times if you give yourself, 10 more minutes, I'll kind of hit the snooze. 10 more minutes, I'll chill on the couch. And you just keep prolonging it. And then the thing that you're trying to do never happens. And so productivity, pivot, snap your fingers, jump right into it. Don't prolong it. Fourth thing that helps me out tremendously, and this is a quote by Andy Frisella, I believe. I don't know if it's his original quote or somebody else's, but I've heard it multiple times on his podcast, and he has said, what would your life look like if every time you didn't feel like doing the thing that you know you should do, you did it anyway? So what would your life look like if every time you didn't feel like doing the thing you know you needed to do, waking up early, going to the gym, staying late at work, making that extra cold call, going on that extra prospecting meeting, starting that business, applying for that job that seems out of reach, taking on a risk. What would your life look like if every time you didn't feel like doing the thing that you know you should do in the back of your mind, in your heart? I know I need to do this, but I'm not going to do it. But instead, what would your life look like if you did it anyway? Like, think about that over the last 10 years of your life. What kind of car would you be driving now? What kind of house would you be in? What would your bank account look like? What would your body look like? What would your confidence look like? Think about that. And I'm already very disciplined. I'm far more disciplined than most people. I'm sure people that follow me can agree with that. But I still have had moments in my life where I've left things on the table. I've left effort on the table. And I'm just thinking about where I could be right now if I did the things that I know I needed to do. So that is a big driver for me, to think immediately, wow, what could my life look like? And then finally, wrapping up here, I think another thing you have to realize is that people are watching you, not necessarily on social media or anything like that, but you have people around you watching you that you don't even know about. You could have people older than you, younger than you. You could have family. You could have friends. You could have neighbors. I mean, I've gotten random text from people that's like, hey, I just saw you here. By the way, I really like how you do this. Or I've gotten random LinkedIn messages from people that's like, hey, saw you at this networking event and blah, 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 blah. Like, you never know who's watching. And that's even more important, is that a rising tide lifts all boats. So, let's just use your neighborhood, for example. It's like, let's say you're getting up early, you're going to the gym, you're running a couple times a week, and like your neighbors see you as somebody who's dedicated to fitness. And your neighbor's like, you know what? I haven't worked out in a while, but I see, so-and-so doing this. And wow, I've seen kind of what they've been able to build from a physical health perspective. And wow, they have this and they have this. Like, it's all interconnected. Your physical health, spiritual health, mental health, it's all intertwined together. And you may motivate that person to get their life together, to be disciplined. And then they may start on the right path, and then they may motivate somebody, right? So it's very trickle down method. Like, that's something that also drives me as well. So just wanted to hop on here, guys, and cover some of the main things. I think the biggest thing is just remembering that you got to tie this back to something that's important to you. And factually, again, this is from speaking to hundreds and hundreds of successful people, remembering that it takes discipline, and those people did the work when they did not feel like it, but they built wildly successful lives. So hope this was helpful. Hope you take it not only this week, this month, this year, but hope you take it honestly beyond that. And remember these things when you don't feel like doing the work, because I promise you, speaking from experience, you will feel like not doing it more than you will feel like doing the work and putting in the effort. But if you can keep going, you can keep pushing, you can keep putting in 100% effort, the odds of your success will go exponentially up over time. So thank you all for listening to this week's episode of Next Level Minds. If you got value out of this, or just want to give me some general feedback, message me on Instagram at ChrisChapChap. Thanks again for tuning in.